So today we are going to be looking at the Industrial Revolution in our history lesson. I will connect this to the Battle of Hastings next week, but what I want us to do first is to understand some facts about the Industrial Revolution. We're going to start by having a look at our question stems. So we're going to start with what, then where, then when. We're also going to have a look at the impact it had on farming and how we actually know about the Industrial Revolution. We talked a lot at school about how assessing artefacts makes us a good historian. So that's what we're going to look at in today's little lesson. So what was the Industrial Revolution? Well, it was the discovery that coal, natural gases and steam power could be made into energy. So we've got coal. Now we all know what coal is, we've seen it, and we know that it can be burned to make energy. We've got natural gases. Remember, we talked before in the past that they are clear. We can't overly see those. And we're also going to have a look at steam power. So the discovery that coal and natural gases and steam power could be used for new inventions was the biggest part of the Industrial Revolution. So all of these here could be used to power new inventions, and this actually changed the way that Britain worked, because before the Industrial Revolution, Britain was very much a rural farming community. With the Industrial Revolution, Britain was then able to move away from that, and we see the building of lots of factories and lots of new inventions that we still use today. But where was this? So, as I've mentioned, farming was the biggest part of Britain before the Industrial Revolution. It's what most people's jobs were. They worked on the land. However, with the Industrial Revolution that happened, a lot of factories began to be built. And these factories were built in bigger cities. So yes, you had places like London, but you also had more northern places that had factories built. And you're looking at places like Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, and lots more. So a lot more in the north of the country. And these factories are still there today. So I'm going to put factories over here in the section about how do we know about it? How do we know about the Industrial Revolution? Well, one of the things is a lot of the factories are still there, albeit they've changed quite a bit because they've been built on, they've been made better, they've been improved. The original factories for a lot of places are still there. Now, when did this all happen? This actually happened a really long time ago. About 270 years ago, we begin to see the Industrial Revolution start, and it starts in around 1760. Maybe just a little bit before, but the majority of the first things we see are in 1760. So that is after the Great Fire of London, but before the Victorian Age. And it continues into the Victorian Age. And some people can say that we are still going through the Industrial Revolution now, though most people agree that it kind of ended before the First World War in the 1910s. The biggest thing we're going to have a look at happened in 1765, and that was the invention of the steam engine. And the steam engine was invented by a man named James Watt. Okay, and he invented the steam engine, and this is probably one of the biggest inventions that impact. Now we know a lot about the steam engine because there were lots of documents that showed the creation, and there were lots of drawings that show how the steam engine was planned out. There were mock steam engines that didn't work. There were lots of different things that we can find in documents that show his journey to making the steam engine. And these are really good, and they are excellent pieces of historical information because they are exactly what happened. Someone has scribed them, someone has written about them. They're not quite a diary, but they are clear writings of what went wrong, they're almost like experiments, almost like science. Britain was a huge farming country before the Industrial Revolution. So, was it a negative thing? Not exactly. The Industrial Revolution had a huge impact on farming because farmers became more efficient. Because a lot of people moved to the cities, London, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, out of rural communities, the farmers actually became better at their jobs. They became more efficient. And they did this with the help of machinery. So they used advances in crop rotation. One of the most efficient things that happened to farming was the seed drill. And adaptations of the seed drill are still used today. And that was invented by, and it was a very early development in the Industrial Revolution, by a man named Jethro Tull. And the seed drill planted seeds quickly and efficiently without needing to do it by hand. And this improved farming a lot. So although the Industrial Revolution had some negative effects on farming, it also had some positive effects on farming as well. And with the combination of the seed drill and better transport, more people could be fed in the bigger cities. So before, everybody had farms in their community that they could get food from. Well, now food could be transported on things like the steam engine to the bigger cities and sold in the bigger cities in shops, rather than food having to be taken by the farmer to a local market and people having to travel then to that market to get the food. So these are the basic areas of the Industrial Revolution that we are going to be looking at. What I want to add to before I end this video is, how do we know about things like the seed drill? We've got factories, got documents, but there are also other things. There are pictures, paintings. In a lot of paintings during this time, landscapes changed. They went from being just the landscape of a farm, of hills, of rural communities, to paintings with factories in the background, with larger towns and cities. And that's really important because we can see the difference in paintings before the Industrial Revolution to after the Industrial Revolution. So what I'd like you to do in today's task is I'd actually like you to, almost like a comic strip, show me 3 stages of the Industrial Revolution. And I'd like to see more the farming aspect of that. That's the area that I wanted us to concentrate on. So that's the area I want you to have a look at. So I'm going to do a mock version and you can do your own version and send it to me. If you don't want to write anything, like in these boxes here, and you just want to do the pictures, that's absolutely fine. But you need to clearly be able to show before the Industrial Revolution, during the Industrial Revolution, and then afterwards. So just to talk you through my interpretation, obviously you can do something completely different. I have Googled images to have a look and see, and you know that I am not the best of drawers, so that I can have a look. But I've started here where farming was the main job and lifestyle in Britain. I've drawn a house typical of the 1700s, and I've drawn two farmers who are hand picking their crops. Then I have, I should label this one, shouldn't I? This is that gentleman that I talked about, Jethro Tull, and this is his seed machine. There we go. And the seeds that were put in here, and he would, or whoever the farmer was, would walk along, and the seeds would come out at the bottom, and they'd come out in a specific way so that they were far enough away from each other so they weren't on top of each other. And this was his invention. And then my final one, so this was only one of the inventions. Inventions began to improve farming in Britain. And then my final one is showing, this is meant to be a steam engine, is showing that the crops that were planted and picked in the rural areas, such as potatoes, carrots, sprouts, corn and wheat, were then transported to different places. I've chosen Manchester in mine, on a steam engine. So food and other essential goods were transported around. You could do something completely different. It is entirely up to you. If you wanted to choose a different invention, if you wanted to show me something different, that's absolutely fine. Use the links that I've added in Seesaw to learn more about the Industrial Revolution. It is an area of British history that potentially your parents don't know much about either. So feel free to learn more than they know. And create something and send it back to me on the template that I've shown you. I hope you've enjoyed this little video about the Industrial Revolution, and next week we'll look at how I'm connecting this to the Battle of Hastings, which was 700 years before the Industrial Revolution. Thank you for watching, and hope you have enjoyed.